So this is my 240SX and we're gonna be test fitting an engine today. Normally what you see drop into these cars is an LS, SRs, a JZ, a 2JZ, and if you're really cool, a VH. Not many people know about it, but today we're gonna be dropping in or test fitting something that's a little bit on the different side. So we're gonna be dropping in something that's a little bit more rare and probably considered a little bit more exotic, and it's from an M5. And it's not this one, it's actually this one. This is the BMW S13 engine, and it's a 5-liter V8. And we're gonna be fitting it in said car and seeing if we can get this to clearance. What we have noticed is actually that the oil pan so far might be an issue just because it overhangs and it actually hangs in front of the crank pulley, which is already an issue with the LS because you have a sway bar issue. But well, let's get over the boring stuff and we'll just start test fitting it now. So we're gonna run into a little bit of an issue here, and what we decided to do was use a load leveler from Harbor Freight, you know, real fancy stuff, and another fancy piece called the cargo strap. And what that does is that's actually pulling the back half up so we can have the engine at least relatively level at the moment. It's not perfect, but as you can tell, it's decently level. So we're gonna go ahead and shove that in there and see what fitment issues we run into. So let's get started. Okay, so David's helping me out put this engine in place. And as you can tell, the engine's about as dusty and as crappy looking as the car. But the other thing is that this is the current issues we're having. As you can see, the front brace for the chassis, of course, is getting really close to the oil pan. I kind of suspected that earlier with the oil pan hanging out so far to that side. And the other thing is we might need to get a new harness layout just to give us extra clearance back here, because against the firewall, we're getting really close to there. Our standard clearances are looking all right. And it kind of reminded me of when I had the VH in here. It's just a bit big and of course, a bit heavy. And then I ended up choosing to go with the Chase Bay's booster delete to provide clearancing, because I thought that this was gonna be an issue, and it looks like it most likely would have been. Other than that, we're looking pretty good. I ended up using an R33 subframe from the GTST, and that subframe interchanges perfectly. It's identical to the S13, but as you can tell, the mounting points are farther forward, which then again lines up with my original mounts or the original mounting points on the S62. Well, because I got a little bit lazy and I wanted to at least mark this before I remove this to complete test fitting it, I actually just used a pick and I scratched the area, because eventually we're gonna have to modify this brace in order to get the clearance that's required for this oil pan. Thought I would at least cover that before I continue on. Okay, so we pretty much now have it exactly where we want it. The funny part is this is actually better fitting than the VH45 I used to have. And I wish I had the hood over here, but you could see that the plenum would stick out, and this one's probably gonna stick out a bit, because if we look at the sideline, I'm gonna have to have some type of roof raise, because you can see that's gonna definitely protrude.
Bring the power from the E46 over.
Yeah. But the one thing we're gonna try test fitting is, well, these bad boys. So I got these made at One Cut Fab. It's in Lake Elsinore. They made them for me. It's a water jet cut, so came out pretty nice, and these should fit pretty well in there. And we're gonna go ahead and see what our clearance is like. But if you can see already, it looks like we're gonna have quite a bit of space for headers. And I remember with the VH45, that was a giant pain. And it might be the helping fact that the R33 mounts are farther forward compared to where they were on the S13. The S13s were pretty much all the way in the back. So let's see how the rest of this goes, and we'll follow up with the fitment. Okay, so now this is pretty much exactly where I plan on having it. And I've already mounted up these plates, or I mounted them up from earlier, and they sit right here. There's a 4-bolt area, and this is the mounting point right here. So as you can see, it's pretty center line with actually how it's supposed to be. And I'm planning on using these round inch pucks I bought on Amazon. They're about 1/4 inch thick. And I'm gonna mount them right here. I still have to decide if I'm going to thread that or how I want to go, because the only problem is if I thread it, the risk of the bolt falling out is a possibility. And if it's a stud, it'll be a lot easier. But as you can see here, it's very much a straightforward shot from here to here. Planning on actually making this a solid mount design, mainly just because if fitment's really tight, the connector's sitting right by it. And if this has any give, that'll be an issue. But I'm gonna have to take this out again and mount the transmission that's over there and get it fitted before we go about going through everything else. And this side is pretty much the same point. Let me see if I can zoom in here. At this point, that the two oil fittings that are up on the screen are right in front of the mounting pad, which is perfect because what I'm planning on using is this 1 3/4 pipe, and I'm gonna be having this cut with a bandsaw, and I should be welding in place. And hopefully the other issues that we found is, of course, let me zoom out. This brace right here is gonna be an issue with here, so we're probably gonna have to come up with some type of pipe that will replace the bracing. And the other issue that might be around is how to get the oil lines ran from behind. This is where the alternator goes. Another issue I found with this is going to be the sway bar, because the sway bar, I do not know where it's gonna go. It literally has no room over there and anywhere over here with this oil pump or oil pan. I wish I could go with the dry sump, but I'm not made out of money. So that's not gonna happen. And well, I'd like to appreciate David for coming and helping me. Okay, so that pretty much concludes this video, at least with the test fit, just with the engine. I mean, next time, hopefully we can have the transmission mounted, but if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to this channel. And if you liked the video, could you please hit that like button? And thank you for watching the video. Have a great one. Thank you. Bye.